Hi, everybody. My name is Bill Tavener, and I am the Executive Director of the Center for Sex Education. And I am going to walk you through a tutorial on submitting a proposal for the National Sex Ed Conference. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to go to sexedconference.com. So here's our landing page, and our webmaster got all fancy this year and figured out how to make it transition between different announcements that we want to make. So that's really cool that we have a submit your proposal button. So what we're going to do is we stop the transition of the slides, and we're going to go to the button to get further information about the call for proposals. Oh, but you know what? Let's back up a little bit first. Let's review, what are we getting ourselves into here? Let's go into the call for proposals button. Okay, this is going to give us the details of what we might expect in submitting a proposal. So there's the bit, like, if you know everything and you're ready to go, you can hit that button right away. So let's take a look at the terms so that we know what we're all getting into. So the conference is for sexuality educators, health educators, professors, school teachers, nurses, guidance counselors, other counselors, case managers, all kinds of professionals attend the conference, social workers, therapists, lots of other folks as well. The content, the proposals that you're submitting could be applicable to all kinds of audiences, all kinds of ages, all kinds of settings. So bring your unique expertise to your proposal. So what do you need to submit? You're going to need to submit biographical information. So like there's room for a short bio that identifies yourself, contact information, so we know how to get in touch with you, as well as each presenter, your resume or CV, a photo of you and every other presenter. We need the CVs and the resumes in order to submit information for continuing education credit. So that's what that's for. And again, a short bio. You'll need to give a presentation title, a description, and then answer a number of audience and content-based questions about your presentation. You'll also need to address how your presentation is going to address diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and how it aligns with core content categories identified by different credentialing organizations. You'll also need to choose whether or not you want to submit your proposal and have it considered as an in-person workshop or as a pre-recorded webinar. If your proposal is accepted as an in-person workshop, then you'll receive a $100 discount off of the registration fee, which the in-person registration fee is $545, so your registration fee would be $445. And if it is accepted as an online webinar, then you can still come to the conference in person. You'll still get that $100 discount off of the in-person registration fee, but you'll also be eligible for the online registration discount, and the online fee is $345, so your registration fee would be $245. If your proposal is accepted as an in-person workshop, then you're making a commitment to present your workshop in person. So we'll see you in Atlantic City. We'll assign a date. The conference runs Tuesday through Friday in December. The first or second week, we have not selected the date yet. We're still in the process of negotiating with 2 hotels and making a final decision, but it will be in December. It will be in Atlantic City, and it will either be Tuesday through Friday of the first week of December or Tuesday through Friday of the second week of December. Still working on the exact dates. And if you're watching this tutorial after we've already made our decision, the website will reflect the exact dates of the conference. So we hope to have that information up very, very shortly. What's the deadline for your proposal? It's May 15th. And what happens next? After we receive your proposals, we send them out for peer review. So we have a team of about 30 sexuality educators, very diverse sexuality educators, who agree to critically examine all of the proposals and make recommendations. And then the recommendations come back to the core planning team that makes final decisions and invitations. We'll communicate our final decisions by July 31st. All right, so are we ready to submit? Let's hit that button and let's walk through what a submission looks like. And let's see if we can enlarge this a little bit. because my eyesight is not so great anymore. So we're going to submit a sample proposal. It's not all fully fleshed out, but I'll put some ideas together. So my name is Bill Taverner. My degrees are MA and CSE. I'm a certified sexuality educator. My address is bill@sexedcenter.org. My organization, and maybe you have a computer that's really helpful with this where it pre-populates the information, but I'm going to type it out. The Center for Sex Education. My title is Executive Director. My mailing address. Okay, I'll pre-populate it there. So got our mailing address and our phone number. I'm going to give the business address. And then a bio. So look at this. We're only asking for 25 words. Okay. Really just short identifying information so that we know who you are. I might enter Bill is the executive. I already said that, but I'm going to say it again. Director of the Center for Sex Education and the author of many books on sex education. All right. So it says I got to 20 words. So that very little information just got me to 20 words. So just tell us a little bit about who you are. So here we're going to hit choose file for my CV, see if I have something on hand. Let's see. There we go. I did one in 2021. So I'm going to upload that. And then we're going to find a photo of me. There we go. There's a photo of me. All right. Do I have any co-presenters? If I said yes, the next page is going to populate with more identifying information that we're going to need to give about each presenter. But I'm going to say no to keep it simpler, and it's going to move to the next page. All right. It helpfully tells us that we're 29% done with the form. All right. So what do we want to speak about? So here's the title. What do we want to speak about? What's new and interesting? You know, if I submit something and I don't have it fully fleshed out yet, but what I really want to speak about is artificial intelligence. I'm fascinated by that. So I think I might submit a proposal, and maybe you will now too, on how artificial intelligence can be used, you know, the ethical considerations of artificial intelligence. I'm really interested in that. So I want to research that. And I may very well submit a proposal on that, but maybe you'll submit a proposal and maybe it will be better than mine. So let's think of a snazzy title. Artificial Intelligence, the Future of Sex Education. All right. When I actually submit it, maybe I'll come up with a better title, but I think that suffices for our needs now. Okay, so now I got to look at an audience. What's my audience here? And please put some thought into, don't check them all. In fact, I wonder if you check them all, does it restrict you? No, it does allow you to check them all, but please don't. We want some thought behind this because, you know, if I give a workshop on artificial intelligence, I'm probably not going to be making it for early childhood education. If I were to do something on early childhood education, I might talk about, you know, how do we teach about friendships? How do we teach about names of body parts or something like that? That's going to be my webinar or my in-person workshop for a younger audience. So put some thought into this. I'm thinking, you know, I'm really interested in college students. I think that there's a discussion to be had about the ethics of plagiarism and, you know, the fact that, you know, a lot of folks are talking about students are submitting outstanding papers and they didn't necessarily originate the content. So I'm looking at college age students. There's probably going to be some overlap to high school that's applicable. Definitely adult education. I'm not really zeroing in on older adults, so I'm not going to check that off because we can check off everything. I'm not really necessarily focusing on parent. There may be overlap and application to a lot of other groups. These are my core audiences here, so I'm going to check that off. Okay, so now I'm moving into the key content areas, and this is mirroring the content from the professional learning standards for sex education. So, you know, in terms of the content, Will my presentation discuss sex education in schools? Yeah, probably. Is it going to discuss sex ed in special settings? Yeah, maybe, but that's not really my focus. I'm not going to check that for the sake of checking it. Other context, I think there is another context here. I think that this is a more general discussion of the application of the content. So I am going to check that off. Hopefully I get that right. This is not a perfect science here, folks. Okay, professional disposition, conscious and unconscious bias about race, ethnicity, and culture. I'm going to check that one because one of the things I'm going to want to talk about is how when artificial intelligence is drawing content, well, where's it drawing it from? Well, it's drawing it from human created content, and human created content has biases. I want to talk about how what we think is magical information that appears out of nowhere is actually sourced from the biases that people already have. If you watch John Oliver's segment on this, for example, he talked about how companies are using artificial intelligence to screen through resumes, applications, and they're looking for, like, well, what are the ideal resumes? Well, the parameters that the artificial intelligence is employing were based on the parameters of human hiring behavior. So it reflects the same biases, and they're rejecting people based on their names or identities that don't match the company's history of hiring. So it's definitely something that we'd want to talk about. Disclosure, probably not so much. Sexuality values, maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. I'm going to skip that for now. This is the only one that's really resonating here for me. So I hope that one of the things that I'm sharing with you is that you don't have to check everything. We really want some thought behind everything that you check. Creating best practices in sex education, creating an inclusive and affirming learning environment. Yeah, I'll go with that one. Disability responsive practice, not sure. Maybe we'll get into that, maybe we won't. Education theory and implementation. Now, let's see what else on this list. I want to talk about lesson plans because one of the things that I tried with artificial intelligence just for kicks was I took a lesson plan that I had written many years ago, and I copied and pasted the entire lesson plan, and I told AI, make this more inclusive. And boy, it created a lesson plan that was better than what I wrote. So I want to talk about applications with respect to lesson plans and activities. Racial and reproductive justice, not necessarily the focal area here. Responding to challenging, no self-care, trauma, I don't think so. So we'll skip down to key content areas. All of these may be applicable, but let's see. Is there something here that really, the technology might be something I click here, because not necessarily because of the sex thing. I'm going to click it for now because of the tech part. Oh, got anything else? I'm going to hit other here. Okay. All right. Now, what do I want to do? Do I want to do it as an in-person workshop, or do I want to pre-record a webinar? I don't know. This is a tough one. I'll be there in Atlantic City, so I'm tempted to select this one. I'll do it as an in-person workshop, but I can also do it as a pre-recorded workshop because I'm going to be busy at the conference. But you know what? I'm also okay with it being considered as either one. If I had a strong feeling about one or the other, if you do, then you would check your preference. All right, but I'm going to say consider for either one. Now, if it's accepted and it's being considered as a workshop, then if it's accepted as a workshop, then I have to remember I'm making a commitment to be there in Atlantic City in December, which I am anyway. So the description, boy, what do we say here? This is going to be what winds up in the program. Okay, so I want a description that is exciting and engaging and interesting. And I also have to remember that the folks at the CSE will be reviewing my content, will be editing my content. So I'm acknowledging that. There'll be I think at the end of the submission, there will be an acknowledgement that you understand that the materials will be edited for brevity, for grammar, for, if there's anything that really significantly changes what you're doing, then of course we'll be in touch. We're not going to make changes like that, but we will make copy edits, we will make general edits and such. So with that said, this webinar, and I have up to 50 words. So it's counting down my words. This, I don't know if it's going to be a webinar or a workshop. So this session will allow participants to examine emerging artificial in, all right, tells me if I'm spelling something wrong, intelligence technology and its applications to sex education. Participants will explore the ethics, the benefits, and ethics of Tantra, of AI. And then I'll just put a little AI after the first mention. And I'm up to 27 words. So if I were ready to submit, I probably would put something a little more fleshed out, but that'll suffice for now. Okay. So now I have to explain why this workshop. Why should the reviewers consider this workshop? Why is this important? So, why is it important or timely? Artificial, spell, intelligence is all the rage today. The technology is moving faster than discussions of ethics. Participants need opportunities to learn about its potential and ethical considerations. All right. So I can go up to 100 words. I'm not going to do that for now. But again, you're giving the reviewers why this? Why should we spend time really thinking about that? And so you have an opportunity to really impress people and talk about, yeah, this is really important stuff. You should consider my proposal. Okay, my smart learning objectives. Look at this. Well, first of all, you don't know what a smart learning objective is. You click this link and it'll give you a summary of what smart learning objectives are. Let's see if I can do this from memory. They're specific, measurable, actionable, something and something. All right, no, so I'm not going to go off page now, but I know that it's got to be measurable. So, and I know, look at this, we're only asking for one because there only needs to be one for 1 hour. When we apply to CHES and to ASECT, they're going to ask us for 1 hour, and that's what we're going to give them. So by the end of this presentation, participants will be able to, you're not going to say discuss. You're not going to say review. Those are things that you're doing during the activity. You're looking at what are the participants newly able to do after they attended my session. Okay, so they will be able to describe is a good verb here. List is another good verb. Analyze is a good verb. Summarize, all good verbs. And there's a, if you go to that smart page, I'm just not clicking it right now because I don't know if that's going to bring me off this page with the different screen sharing and all of that. So that's why I'm not clicking it, but click it and then it'll give you lots of great examples. All right, so by the end of this presentation, participants will be able to describe, let's say 3 applications of artificial intelligence to sex education. All right, let's correct the spelling there. Look, I only used 9 words and I got the job done there, right? If you were reviewing my proposal, I hope I'm doing well so far. Okay, what am I going to do in the first 20 minutes? Now you got me thinking. I'm at this stage of the proposal and I haven't really thought about what I'm going to do. But I know because I'm a disciple of Peggy Brick, I'm probably going to start off my first 20 minutes with something interactive, maybe some sentence stems or something. So my first 20 minutes, I will give a summary of artificial intelligence and present 3-sentence stems asking participants, not asking, allowing participants to consider their immediate thoughts and feelings about AI. Okay. For example, and then I'm going to list a couple of sentence stems. When I think of AI, the first thing that comes to mind is ... And then you allow people to fill that in. And then so on. So the second one might be one concern that I have about AI, and the third one might be of one possible application, one thing that I'm wondering about AI. I'm not sure what they're going to be, but I think that's a good first 20 minutes. You want to meet the audience where they are. You want to have a chance, especially if I'm doing this as an in-person workshop. If I'm doing it as a webinar, I might do it a little bit differently. And so you need to, while you're giving your answers here, give some thought as to if you give a more didactic kind of response and you tell the reviewers, doesn't matter if it's webinar or in person, but your responses are very didactic, as if you're the only one speaking to the audience, we're probably going to consider it for a webinar. If it's highly interactive, then we're probably going to consider it for a workshop. So just something to keep in mind if you choose that both options. I might continue from here, or I might maybe I'll do some sort of welcoming, engaging kind of get to know each other activity with some sort of application of AI. Second 20 minutes might be, we will examine 3 case studies involved in AI integrating AI to sex ed. All right, so maybe we'll do that. I only used 13 of my 100 words. So if this wasn't a tutorial, then I would go elaborate a little bit more. And then the final 20 minutes, I've had this idea of creating an "is this ethical" worksheet where people can say, yes, it's ethical, no, it's not ethical, or not sure. And I might do it as a 4 corners activity, or I might do it as kind of like a physical. So I think I'm moving back toward an in-person workshop. I might move people to different places around the room. So the final 20 minutes, is this ethical? Movement activity where participants examine 10 or so possible applications of AI and determine the ethics of each. I'm going to fully flesh this out when I submit it. I'm going to really think about, I'm going to list what are those 10 questions. I haven't thought of them yet. Back here, maybe we're going to do a little bit more prep work where we're going to talk about ethical models. I might go to Wayne Pulowski, for example, who's done lots and lots of workshops on ethics. And he might advise me like, oh, you can use the National Social Worker Standards or ASEX model or something else, and have, this way everyone is grounded in an approach. But I'm talking too much about my ideas. Let's get back to the proposal form. So now we have to review the National Health Education Standards and the ASEX standards. Oh, look at this. We're almost halfway done. Okay. So now we have to decide, what are the areas addressed here? Put a little bit of thought into it. What are the applications to what I'm going to be presenting? Am I assessing needs and capacity? No, it doesn't really fit. Am I planning? Maybe, I'm not sure. Implementation? Yeah, probably. Probably a lot of what we're doing, especially if we're talking about, here's some ideas, I want you to go use them. I want you to teach them. Implementation is going to come up a lot, or at least it does, for many of our proposals, might not for yours. And if it's something different, you always want to be the something different proposal, because that gives us, allows us to do a second look at the content. Is it evaluation and research? Nope. Is it advocacy? Is it communication? Yeah, I think it is. And probably more so than implementation. In fact, I might, when I really submit this, I might uncheck that. Leadership and management, ethics for sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that takes care of the CHES requirements. And if you want to know more about their competency, you click on this link. If you want to know more about ASEC's core knowledge areas, you click this link. So now let's get into the ASEC stuff and select all that apply. We should put a limit to, so that you can't check everything. I don't think we did. But ethics for sure. Development of sexuality, I don't think so. Socio-cultural, familial factors, maybe. I'm going to check that for now. It might. Sexual orientation and gender identity, it'll come up for sure, but it's not the core focus. Neither is E. I don't think it's F. It's not G. What else do we have here? There's something on, I hope there's something on technology. Here we go. K, for sure, right? So learning theory, nope, I'm good with those. In fact, I might uncheck C. I think it gets into sociocultural factors, not necessarily familial factors. So I uncheck that. I'm really zeroing in on the two areas that I think are relevant. This will help also. So when my proposal is submitted, we'll be looking at like, okay, well, how many do we have on cybersexuality and social media? Do we have a lot? Should we consider builds, or do we have 40 others that we need to consider? Now, if you're checking everything, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have an increased chance of having your proposal accepted. It means like, oh, okay, with this, this proposal really doesn't know what it is. So, put some thought into that. Next, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Okay. Use this space to describe how the content of my presentation will be inclusive of diverse identities. Diverse identities may include race, socioeconomic status, religion orientation, gender identity, age, ability, and more. So how will I do this? Well, I have a couple of thoughts here. Presentation will make sure that any images represented on its slides are inclusive of different identities. If you're learning nothing else, you're learning that I can't spell. Okay, so that might be one thing that I do. All right, that's easy, low-hanging fruit. You might want to say a little bit more about how you will achieve a presentation that is inclusive and diverse and makes everybody feel welcome. So you're going to put some thought into that. I'm going to need to put some more thought into this as well. So let's look at the presentation style now. Will I provide participants with materials so that they can replicate educational activities in their programs? Maybe, maybe not. Depends. If I make that handout on is it ethical, I'll hand that out. That's just one handout though, and I don't know that I want to commit to that. I'm gonna say no for now, because it's really not a replicable activity. It's more of a discussion. Let's go to next. Wow, look at this. We're 86% done. So let's take a look at the terms together. So if my proposal is accepted, I understand that I will receive an invitation to present at the 2023 National Sex Ed Conference, and then I will be granted a $100 discount toward the regular registration fee, reducing my fee to $445 in person. So the regular fee is $545, and the online fee is $345. So it would be reduced to $245 for online. Okay. If my proposal is accepted as a webinar, I agree I will submit a 60-minute recording of my presentation. Will be subject to editing at the discretion of Planned Parenthood of Northern, Central, and Southern New Jersey and its Center for Sex Education. We also edit the videos, and that it needs to be approved by our communications folks and our staff as well. If my proposal is accepted as an in-person workshop, I agree I will present at the 2023 National Sex Ed Conference, and that my workshop may be assigned on any date of the conference, which will take place Tuesday through Friday, the first or second week of December 2023. Exact dates to be determined soon. I agree to pay the reduced registration fee of $445 and be responsible for my own travel and lodging expenses. So there's only one option here. You have to agree to that, and then you hit submit. And then there we go. Then the next round is peer review, and then we'll get back to you. So thanks for watching, and we're really excited about your sharing your great ideas. Take care, everybody.